Hello. I don't know if any of you watch the farming programmes that are on lots of our TV schedules at this time. Wonderful shots of newborn lambs and amazing shepherds that care for them. Sheep and shepherds are very much in our lectionary readings at this time. And last Sunday was all about Jesus being the good shepherd, protecting the sheep better than a hired hand who runs at the first sign of danger. Before I retired in 2014, for those of you who don't know, I worked in the shoe industry and I loved my job. But one thing I wasn't so keen on was working late, not getting home at the usual time. I used to think, well, I've worked hard all day, but this is beyond a joke. When I retired and went to help Jenny with her Christian bookshop Oasis, very often we stayed late, either getting a shipment of books that had just arrived, checked in and set out for the next morning, sorting out a problem with the day's takings, anything like that. I was quite happy to be a bit flexible with the finishing time. So what changed in my attitude? I went from working for someone else to having a shared interest in the business. That's a crude analogy, I know, but it sums up that difference in the way Jesus, the Good Shepherd, responds as opposed to a hired hand. In many ways, it's about having a vested interest in putting the welfare of others before ourselves. As we move towards a post-COVID-19 time, we as a church are having to adjust to a changed or new normal. In many ways, lockdown has given us time to think, pause, have a break, put it whatever way you like, a change from our everyday lives, all that we were doing. It showed us what's important and what's not. One thing it has done is when all else is gone, it has drawn us closer to Jesus. And we as congregations have spent a long time apart. And what's important now is to draw us together, to rediscover our community of church. Just as the pandemic drew us closer to Jesus, because everything else was stripped away, we need to share that blessing of closeness with each other. And we won't do that by putting all those things back into place which serve to separate us. When we had our church council at Central a few weeks ago, one thing that concerned me was that if we're not careful, we'll go back to the same old ways. An appeal was put out for people to do various jobs and come up with ideas. And there wasn't a great deal of enthusiasm present. Some put forward ideas, mainly suggesting good people to take the roles on. I think more than anything, this is where we need to change. It's all very well to take on jobs out of a sense of duty or because we feel guilty for not offering to do something. But it's a big but, if our hearts are not in something, we can take on that role of just sort of being a hired hand. Great when things are fine, but running away when danger comes. Not really committed. This past year has served us well in realising that Jesus is the one true way. It's not about what we can do for Jesus, but what he can do through us. As he says, he is the gate through which the sheep need to go. He can be trusted to show us the way, the truth, and the life. There's a wonderful thing happening on the Kingswood estate in Corby, an outreach from the church into its surrounding community. And it's a community that is experiencing really tough times. And I know that the input is very much appreciated. And we had that wonderful response to the appeal at Christmas. A couple of weeks ago, Jen and I attended a district Zoom meeting on becoming an eco-church. I know quite a few of you did. How we as a church and individuals can play our part in safeguarding the future for our children. Then there's the work that Phil Rice is doing around debt counselling. All of them are wonderful ways of the church reaching out into the community. Due to the busyness of our church lives, so often we just don't have the time, energy, opportunity to focus on these things. And I'm as guilty as anybody. I feel that we now have a golden opportunity to reset our priorities and to refocus on Jesus and bring his love into the world around us. It can be daunting, but together through love and support and encouragement of each other, we can bring the love that Jesus has for us into the world. In 1 John chapter 3, verse 16 to 18, it says, "This is how we know what real love is. Jesus gave his life for us, so we should give our lives for our brothers and sisters. Suppose someone has enough to live and sees a brother or sister in need, but does not help, then God's love is not living in that person. My children, we should love people not only with words and talk, but by our actions and true caring. That caring that Jesus gives to us, we should share with each other and the world. And give your heart to Jesus, because he is the Good Shepherd. And together with him to lead and love us, we can achieve so much." Now Jen is going to lead us in prayer. God bless.